Welcome to the football rig. Man, I missed this, man. We are back after a long break, the international break. Today, we are back. And you know what? We came up with a show. It's called the Arsenal News Drill. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first episode of Arsenal News Drilldown, the show where we don't just talk Arsenal, we drill down into every headline, every injury, every tactical shift, and every transfer link that matters to the Gooners worldwide. I'm Sami, and this is the Football Rig, your home for real football talk, deep analysis, and the kind of breakdowns you won't hear anywhere else. Today's debut episode is a big one. We've got major updates from Gabriel Magalhaes, Martin Ødegaard, Ricardo Calafiori, Kai Havertz, Gabriel Jesus, a lot of players. We're going to talk about them and their injury status and what's going on. After, of course, Havertz had a relapse and all that stuff, but we're going to talk about it. We're going to dig deep into it. We'll talk about what these injuries mean for Arsenal's defense depth and Mikel Arteta's option moving forward. And that's what we're going to talk about. We're also diving into the latest transfer links, including Antonio Semenyo, Rodrygo, and some names that I might throw out here and there. But the strongest links currently in the social media is Semenyo and Rodrygo. And we'll compare both players and who actually will suit Arsenal more or less, and what I think about it. I want to hear your opinions as well. If you're an Arsenal fan, if you're not an Arsenal fan, I still want to hear about it in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and we can get things started. Big up Hano, big up the Chelsea, man. We're gonna play the Chelsea soon. I think they're gonna be our next game. Not the next game is the Spurs, and then the game after that will be the Chelsea in Stamford Bridge. So, where should we start with the injuries? I have a lot to talk about. What's going on with Arsenal? I mean, now it's actually the people that are saying that Arsenal have squad depth. This is where it's now under extreme measures, and we need to see that. And test that theory about Arsenal. And we're gonna start with the biggest miss for Arsenal, which is Gabriel Magalhaes. I think Gabriel Magalhaes is the most important player, in my opinion, in the Arsenal squad. He has been the best player for Arsenal so far, without a shadow of a doubt. Anybody is saying otherwise, I think you're delusional, because I think Gabriel has been a key player for Arsenal defensively, and in some instances as well offensively. When it comes to the set pieces, he's a key role player when it comes to our set piece routine and how we score them. And he's an impactful player. He's a very effective player, and it's a big miss. He suffered an injury, a thigh injury, during the international friendly, and for me, it was a big miss for Arsenal. Okay, man, welcome, bro, welcome. It's a big miss for Arsenal to have, Gabriel Magalhaes injured. It's something that we did not anticipate, but according to most of Arsenal fans, we say that, especially when it comes to the defensive side, we have the squad depth. Now, a lot of news that came and followed afterwards saying that it could take, long. But this is Sami, for instance, discovered full extent of Gabriel Magalhaes will miss minimum 4 weeks. So that's, if I'm being optimistic, it's 4 weeks. But the actual report, later on that came about Gabriel Magalhaes stated even longer. Here it says from David Ornstein, which is a reliable source for me, that he could miss 1 to 2 months. So we're gonna talk about the extreme here. The extreme is 2 months. So for Gabriel Magalhaes to miss 2 months of football, what that means. Now I'll list the games that Gabriel Magalhaes would be missing if we assume it's going to be a 2-month injury. If we're going to assume it's a 2-month injury, these are the games that Gabriel Magalhaes is anticipating to miss. We're talking about Spurs, Bayern Munich, Chelsea. That's confirmed, basically. Brentford, Aston Villa, Club Brugge, Wolves, Everton, Crystal Palace, Brighton, Aston Villa. So it's massive. It is massive. Massive to lose Gabriel Magalhaes in all of these games. Now the question is, who should we play instead? Is it going to be Mosquera? Is it going to be Hincapié? Or should we play Calafiori there and play Skelly on the left back? Now, there are several options. I won't lie to you. And they all seem good options. Like Hincapié is part of an elite team who won the Bundesliga as an invincible. And we also have Mosquera, who proved to be a solid defender. Well, except for the Newcastle game where he had a bozo moment and they scored from that. Calafiori as well. I mean, he played on that left center back area back in Bologna, even with Italy. But see, the options are a lot for Mikel Arteta. So he'll have to choose carefully, and he have to choose the right player who is fit, who can actually step up. Now, none of these names that I mentioned are going to be a replacement for Gabriel. We don't have a replacement for Gabriel. And whoever says otherwise is just complete nonsense, in my opinion. But can we go through these games that are shown right in front of you in the screen with positive results? Now, how can we come out of this with minimal, I would say loss of points loss of points. So it is a big challenge for Arsenal, and especially to Mikel Arteta, to be specific. It is a big challenge for us. And first of all, I wish Gabriel Magalhaes a speedy recovery. But it's something to mention and something to really think about. And Arteta has a dilemma in front of him right now that he has to resolve immediately. So the Spurs game that we're going to play again on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, that will be the first test without Gabriel Magalhaes. And if you're going to ask me personally, I haven't seen Saliba play in the left side of the center back area, but looking at Mosquera, I genuinely think Mosquera is very good. I think he's a solid defender. But I've also not seen enough from Hincapié to judge him, if that makes sense. So for me, it's very difficult to judge who would be better. Is it going to be Mosquera or Hincapié? I cannot say because I haven't seen enough from Hincapié to judge him. But I've seen Mosquera. I mean, the guy looks solid. Don't get me wrong. I like the player. But Hincapié could be better. So who can tell us, who would be the best choice for Arsenal defense? That would be Mikel Arteta, because he trains with those players and through training sessions he would see who would be better. And you could be right. And I cannot dispute this statement, because I genuinely think that also Hincapié is a good, because he's the captain of his national team. So you don't become a captain of your national team, unless you're that good. And Mosquera is young, and when you're young, you're bound to make mistakes, and that's part of the learning curve, I would say. And for Hincapié, the guy is more experienced when it comes to number of minutes played in football, playing in an elite level. So, and most importantly, that he is the captain of the Ecuador national team. So you don't become a captain unless you are that good. And I'll take your word for it, because I haven't seen Bayer Leverkusen play, so I cannot really say. And I would say maybe he is good, maybe he's not that good. It's debatable. But again, when you play in the Premier League, things are different. Maybe you've seen him before, but when you play in the Premier League, and in some instances or some teams, they apply the high press, so that kind of freedom is not given to you, where you have freedom with the ball. So you'll have to react, more effectively and faster, I would say, especially when it comes to decision making. You cannot keep the ball and moving around until make a mistake, or minimize the choices that you have, where to pass and who to pass. So we'll see. And I'm really intrigued to know what Arteta has in his mind. But now what I want personally, I think it's gonna be, I want to see Nkapie and Calafiori, because Calafiori has been very solid in the left back. Very, very solid. And I don't think, defensively he's that sound. Maybe he's good. I mean, he's Italian. Italian are always known to be good defenders. But the way that Arteta is utilizing Calafiori, I mean, the guy is all over the pitch. And I've been saying this for many, many times, even in my watch-alongs when I watch Calafiori. He's playing as a striker in some times, and in some instances, he's playing in the central areas. And you can see him also on the right. You rarely find the guy in the left back, except for the last game, Sunderland game. He was positioned very well in the left back. Yet he made I would say, an awful mistake when it comes to the first goal. However, so from what I've seen from Arteta so far, I don't think he's going to change his left back. I think he's going to keep Calafiori on the left. So we are now looking at either Nkapie or Mosquera. And Mosquera has been playing in the right central back. He didn't play on the left side. So, and looking at, I mean, the guy is also left-footed, and Gabriel Magalhaes is also left-footed. So it makes more sense for Arteta to keep that balance and have a left-footed defender in Gabriel's Magalhaes place. So I think that would be the more logical choice if Nkapie is good when it comes to the training, and he's been showing that he's good and all that stuff. What do you think of Arsenal using 3-4-3 system? But that means that you have to have wingbacks, right? And I don't think Arsenal have wingbacks. We have right back and left back. I mean, if I look at Timber, for example, I don't see him as a wing back or right wing back. And when I look at Calafiori and Skelly as well, I don't see them as a left wing back. So playing the 3-4-3, like Manchester United, for example, they played the 3-4. Amorim, that's like Amorim's formation. I don't think that Arsenal has have the players to play that formation. I don't think Timber would thrive in that formation, to be honest. That's just my opinion. I mean, it could work. Don't get me wrong, it could work, but I've never seen it done with Arsenal. So, and I'm not willing to test it in front of Tottenham, Bayern Munich, and Chelsea. It's not a time for you to test. I mean, if you wanted to test these kind of formations and scramble with the formation, all that stuff, that should have been in the preseason, or when you are winning like 3-0 against a weaker team and you want to change and see, maybe, but not when you go to the big games where it's like a must win for you. And Tottenham Hotspur are being, they've been solid so far this season. I mean, don't get me wrong, especially when they play away. And this game is going to be in Emirates. So Tottenham Hotspur's away record to be specific, is very strong. So don't get me wrong, I feel confident playing in Emirates Stadium, but still Tottenham Hotspur pose a serious threat. A serious threat that we need to, deal with. So, we stuck with the topic of Gabriel Magalhaes for almost 10 minutes, and rightfully so, because he's been our best player, and we need to talk about this guy and give him his kudos and give him his time, and show the importance of Gabriel Magalhaes, how important and how effective he is in our team. And we're gonna miss him. Honestly speaking, we're gonna miss him, especially when it comes to the corners. I mean, the guy is just unbelievable when it comes to the corners. Unbelievable. Probably the best player in the world when it comes to the corners. So we're gonna rely on some players and their consistency when it comes to defending. One of them has been valued, one of the top defenders, right backs, Timber. Timber has been valued 53 million, so he's like the top right back in the league, and I think he deserves it, to be honest. He really deserved to be there. He's been Mr. Consistent so far. I mean, with all the respect to Reece James, and I would rate Timber higher than Reece James, because of his consistency and the level of performances that he's been putting so far. And yeah, I think we should rely on Timber when it comes to the defensive attribute. I just want to shout out the Timber because I think, this is where the PR comes in. And I would say, oh, listen, yeah, we have Gabriel Magalhaes injured, but we still have good players. We have Saliba, we have Timber. So, and other news as well. We're going to stick with the injuries and all that topic. And, and I mentioned about Nketiah being the captain, and this is where one of the most important key factors is having Nketiah in the team. It also adds the leadership. I know that Gabriel is, a player who's irreplaceable in the Arsenal squad, but also having such leaders like Nketiah could really help the mental side of things and the morale of the players and pushing the players in the pitch. You'll have to have those leaders on the pitch. Arteta is okay. He's the coach. He's giving the instruction. He's giving, his tactical, I would say, instructions to the players and where to play and how to play. But on the pitch, what holds them together are the players. The players need to hold it together. And when you have, leaders on the pitch, that really helps. So I would rather play Nketiah rather than Mosquera just because of the seniority and the age, and also that because of he's left-footed, so he would be more suitable as a replacement for Gabriel in the time being. So and I'm glad that we signed Nketiah. I'll be honest, I'm very happy that we signed him, and now we're seeing why. But and the other news that we heard about Calafiori getting injured, it has been, I wouldn't say debunked, but according to Fabrizio, his countryman, his Italian countryman, saying that Arsenal check confirms from the last 24 hours, Ricardo Calafiori will be available for North London derby. So that is some great news. So there were a lot of, talks, especially when Calafiori got injured with his national team, but it seems that it was just, a precautionary substitution and there's no issue. It's just a small overload or whatever. And thank God, because we're now looking for, to add one more player to the pile and having more injuries, because we do have an injury crisis when it comes to Arsenal Football Club. So I'm happy to hear that Calafiori is available. It is an important thing for us because Calafiori has been outstanding this season so far, especially when in September. He was really, really good. And I think we would need him in the upcoming games, and we need him to be sharp and everything. So we'll see, and I think Arteta will test his fitness and everything, and hopefully that he's good to go and ready. So that's some good news when it comes to the injuries. Another good news, it just came out. It just came out today from Hands of Arsenal, one of the ITKs on Twitter. There's a possibility for Martin Ødegaard to be available for the Tottenham. It will be a late call for him and others. So it is good news because it means if Ødegaard does not play for against the Spurs, he will definitely play against the Chelsea or play against Bayern Munich. So our captain is on the way to be back. And I'm very, very, very happy to hear these news because I'll be honest, and this is something that Arsenal fans consider to be a topic, a salty topic, I would say, or they don't want to talk about it, is Eze. Eze has not been performing very well, to be honest. I mean, yeah, he had his moments. He scored, he assisted in a very nice goal. Don't get me wrong, but he did not live up to the expectation, in my opinion, Eze. And we do need Ødegaard back. He gives us options up front. And especially before the injury, I think Ødegaard was really performing at a high level. Unfortunately, he got injured against West Ham on his knee, and he even couldn't really play for his country as well, even though his country, Norway, qualified. But Ødegaard gives us that massive options up front and creativity and chance creation and all of that stuff. And Ødegaard is considered to be one of the most important players for Arsenal Football Club. And I do hope he's back. At least if he's not going to start against Spurs, maybe he would play like the second half and give him some minutes just to, integrate him back to the team. And I'm so happy to hear this news. This came out today, by the way, guys, that there's some chance that Ødegaard could play against Spurs, which means that he's very, very close to return to the first team. So that's some good news. I'm trying to mix it up, giving you some of the good, some of the bad, just so we don't have a very sad show. But unfortunately, another sad news. One of our players got relapse, which is Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz had a minor relapse on his injury, but overall he's doing well. He's expected to return towards the end of the year. So it seems that our offensive options or our attacking options are really not that much. Not that much. I mean, Havertz is coming back by end of December. In the other news, Gabriel Jesus is back to training, and I think it was quite a while ago, the Gabriel Jesus. But when you have like a long, period, and you're injured and you're out of the pitch and you haven't played for quite some time, it's gonna take you also some time to get back to the pitch, right? He's not gonna come in and play from the get-go. No chance. No chance. I think even though he's been, training with the team, with the first team, and we're seeing some videos, and this is where Arsenal Football Club is a smart club when it comes to the PR. They're showing Gabriel scoring in the training session and super reality and all that stuff, and it's wow, look, Gabriel is back and he's scoring, he looks fit. But the reality is, I mean, they wanted to say this or show that, and they wanted, because they know that they had some relapse, some bad news when it comes to the attacking side. And this is why, I genuinely hate it, because I haven't heard any news about Viktor Gyökeres, our main number 9. I haven't heard a single news about him. Nobody talked about him. We don't know when he's going to return, and there has not been a snuff of news about Gyökeres. And this is really irritating. I hope, Arteta is keeping it in the shadow, and all of a sudden we see him against Spurs, and I genuinely hope so. And unfortunately, I don't have any kind of news about Viktor Gyökeres, but initially we heard that he's going to be back right after the international break, but nothing really. There's no update. So we're going to wait until the press conference, and I'm sure one of the journalists will ask the question to Arteta about Viktor Gyökeres. Because now we know that Havertz is only coming back by end of December. So let's say that he's going to get fit somewhere in January. Gabriel Jesus is going to slowly be integrated to the team, probably give him small minutes here and there. So Gyökeres, we want to know what's going on with our main striker, Viktor Gyökeres. So if I was a journalist and the press conference with Arteta, that would be my first goddamn question. Where the hell is Gyökeres? And I think every Arsenal fan want to know about Viktor Gyökeres. And has he improved? Is he coming back soon? And we need him. We genuinely need him. And the other player that I haven't heard news about is Noni Madueke. Even though for Noni Madueke, I'm not really very much concerned, because we have Saka, and also I rate Max Daumann highly. And we also have Nwaneri, who can play also on the right wing. So that's why I'm really not pressing, about Noni Madueke. But when it comes to Gyökeres, we don't have a replacement for Gyökeres. And I hate playing Merino up front. Man, I don't know what. And I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a good finisher. But when we're looking at other attributes for an attacker, he doesn't have them. He doesn't press. He doesn't really hold the ball very well. I mean, man, sometimes, and in some instances, Merino forgets that he's a striker. I genuinely think in some instances, Merino just forgets that he's the number 9, and he starts playing in the central areas and getting the ball, from the central areas and try to get forward. And when you see there's no number 9 up front, there's no number 9 up front, and I've seen it clearly when we played against Sunderland. Oh my God! We didn't have a number 9. We did not have a number 9. I'm sorry. Even though he assisted the goal, but I mean, Merino was the worst player on the pitch, and I don't want to see that again. I don't. I really don't. It's It's very sad to watch when you have Marino up front. So, again, we need to hear about Victor Gyökeres, and I genuinely hope that he's okay and he can return back as soon as possible. And that kind of sums it up for the Arsenal injury updates and status so far. So we have what we know, that Ødegaard is returning, Gabriel Jesus is back to training, and Havertz had a relapse. I mean, Gyökeres, we haven't heard anything about him. Noni Madueke, we haven't heard anything about him so far, but they are expected to return soon, very, very soon. So that kind of sums it up. And of course, the unfortunate injury for Gabriel Magalhaes, man. It's the biggest, hit for Arsenal in terms of injuries so far. Even when like when you get injury like Saka, Rice, Gabriel Magalhaes, you feel it, that because those players are the spine of Arsenal. Saka, Rice, Gabriel Magalhaes, Saliba. For me, those are the players that are irreplaceable. The others are, you can somehow, okay, Timber as well recently, but the others, you can't live without it, But unfortunately, this is what's happening so far. And this concludes my what I want to say about the Arsenal injury so far. But now let's talk about something more exciting. And before we move on, please hit the like button, subscribe, guys, if you're new to the channel. It really helps me with the growth. We want to hit the 400 subs soon. But what we heard so far is Arsenal Football Club are, probably, we don't know. That's what we heard. Gonna sign a player when it comes to the left wing. And the first player that the news that this is now the hot topics, Semenyo. Antoine Semenyo, probably for sales in January for £65 million release clause. And he has stated that his dream is to play for Arsenal Football Club. I'm so happy, currently when we talk about players and they want to play for Arsenal. I mean, it's very, very nice to hear. I mean, it fills me with happiness and joy that players want to join Arsenal Football Club. But Semenyo has been the best left winger in the Premier League so far this season by country mile. By country mile. Now, will Arsenal Football Club trigger the release clause? We don't know. Because honestly speaking, we do have Trossard, we do have Martinelli, and we do have, well, if you want to call him left winger, which is Gabriel Jesus. It's not that I rate those players higher than Semenyo. No, it's just that we do have those players, because if you want to sign a player on the caliber of Semenyo, then you have to get rid of some of the players you have. And I think we need to sell a player. We need to sell. For me, I would sell. Well, whoever you get a good, I would say, deal for, or a good offer. Either it's Martinelli or Semenyo or Trossard. I would sell them. Honestly speaking, I would sell them. And this is where Arsenal falls off a bit, because Arsenal Football Club are not known for big sales. I mean, the last big sale we had was Oxlade-Chamberlain, for what I remember, what I recall. And you got to make room for players like Semenyo, because Semenyo has been, nailing it when it comes to the Premier League. He's been scoring. He's been, carrying his team, Bournemouth, and that's why they are really in the top 10, I would say, in the Premier League table. So for me, I would trigger Semenyo if we were able to sell Martinelli or Ødegaard, and I would sell them, to be honest. If I were Berta, I would try to sell them, find them good offers, find them the clubs, and convince them to move from Arsenal, especially also Gabriel Jesus. These players are in very, very high salaries. Gabriel Jesus is in, I think, 250. Martinelli is 180, and Trossard maybe 100 plus, whatever. But these players are on very, very high salaries, and they're not really delivering as we want them to deliver. I mean, Martinelli fell off a cliff. Trossard also fell off a cliff. Jesus is an injury-prone player. So we need a player who is, consistently going to deliver for us. And Semenyo is one good shout out. I mean, one good shout is Semenyo. There's no doubt, especially this season. But if you ask me personally, would you want Semenyo? I would say, well, he's not a bad player. But guess who we will be, who would be, his, I would say, competitive option. And the competitive option is Rodrygo. Rodrygo, man, this is the player I personally want. I've been, screaming in the summer, please, Arsenal, sign Rodrygo. So Arsenal have settled on an offer, which is 60 million euros plus 20 million achievable bonus for Real Madrid. And that sums it up to 80 million euros, which is, I think, the asking price from Real Madrid. And Xabi Alonso is willing to accept such an approach, as the Brazilian has not established himself as a starter this season. Rodrygo has only played 24% of the available minutes after hardly even featuring for the club in the World Cup. Now, the question is, if both players, because 65 million, I mean, let me convert the 65 million pounds, so pound to euro. I just want to see the value of 65, so I'm not really, 65. So it's equivalent to almost 74 million euros. So we're talking about almost the same price. The difference is 6 million euros. Let's convert them both to the same currency so that we can compare apple to apple. So one player is 74 million and the other player is 80 million euros. Now the question is, who would you want to sign? And I want to also get you guys your opinion in the comments section. Let me know who the player that you prefer Arsenal to sign. I mean, even if you're a rival fan, imagine yourself as a Gunner and tell me, who do you think Arsenal should sign? Do you think we should go for Rodrygo or should we sign Semenyo? Now, the comparison is as follows. When it comes to the age profile, Rodrygo is 1 year younger. So not really much of a difference. I think Rodrygo is 24 years old. Semenyo is 25. The price tag is almost the same. 6 million euros difference. Not really much. But I think the salary will be a big difference. I think Rodrygo will cost a lot. Like probably in the region of 250, 300,000 pound a week, where Semenyo would be less. Definitely Semenyo would be less when it comes to the salary. Now, on the other hand, Premier League proven. Semenyo is Premier League proven. He's playing the Premier League, so the adaptation period, I don't think it exists with Semenyo. He's going to probably hit the ground running, where Rodrygo's coming from La Liga. So La Liga is a bit different than the Premier League, of course. However, when you're talking about a player that you're not just signing any La Liga player. You're signing a player that has been playing for Real Madrid. Real Madrid. I mean, you're talking about the elite of the elite, the top team, the club of the century, Real Madrid. And Rodrygo has been delivered not only in the La Liga, also in the UCL. I don't know if you guys watched the Manchester City game, Real Madrid against City when Madrid won. Rodrygo was a massive part of in that team. Also, last season, I think he scored 12, 13 games. I don't really have the number on top of my head, but I'm going to assume within that region. And now you're scoring 12, 13 games. And don't forget, you're playing with Mbappe and Vini Jr. And Mbappe and Vini Jr. are always going to outscore you, because, the system that Real Madrid plays in allows Mbappe to score a lot. Also Vini Jr., as those are the key players when it comes to scoring goals. However, Rodrygo has been a significant part of that attack and an important player in their team and squad. So when you put it all, now let's go to the eye test. Semenyo covers more ground, I would say. But for me, Rodrygo is more tactical. When it comes to one-on-one, he would beat his opponent. When it comes to decision-making, like shooting, passing, crossing, I think Rodrygo edges Semenyo. And at the end, he's a Brazilian and also playing for Madrid. So he's coming from a very good, a very good team, very structured team. And I would personally go for Rodrygo. Personally, if I had the choice, I would go for Rodrygo rather than Semenyo. That would be my choice. And I want you guys to tell me about your opinion. I could be wrong, but for me, Rodrygo all day. Rodrygo all day, man. Just close your eyes and sign Rodrygo. If he's available, sign him. If Rodrygo is available in January, sign him. He gives you versatility. He gives you goals. He gives you assists. I mean, the player is just that good. He is that good. And I think if he plays in the left wing for Arsenal, nobody is better than him in the left wing. Not Martinelli, not Trossard, not Gabriel Jesus, and not even Eze. Not even Eze. So, for me, it's a no-brainer to go for Rodrygo. No-brainer. I like the player. I genuinely like the player. I think he's one of the top players when it comes to the wingers. And the wingers market is not really... There's not a lot of options, I would say, there. How many players would you compare, and the caliber of Rodrygo is available? Forget about who's the top player, who's the best player. I'm saying who is available and attainable. So if this news is true, or these rumors are true, I would, urge Arsenal Football Club to take this seriously and try to get this over the line. So from what I heard, that Arsenal Football Club has around 100 million pound or euros. The figure was 100. Was it euro or pound? Doesn't matter. Available in January transfer window. Now, this is without even considering if you're going to sell. Now, in January, not a lot of things happen in January. Not a lot of players, not a lot of, when it comes to transfer window, it's not very active, of course, compared to the summer, but it's a window nevertheless. And I think this is where Arsenal should take it seriously, this transfer window specifically. And if we can do a good business by, getting rid of either Trossard or Martinelli and trying to get Rodrygo, I think that sends a message, and that echoes the message that Arsenal are here to win trophies. And on that note, I would like to, end the stream right here. It's been really, lovely to talk about Arsenal Football Club. It's been a while, guys, and I miss doing this. And you know what? We're gonna keep doing this show from now, from here on out, probably weekly, I would say. And of course, we're still gonna do the watch along. We're still gonna do the EARs, the after action review. But I'm gonna keep this show purely about Arsenal Football Club, which is the Arsenal News Drilldown. And again, thank you all for tuning in, and it's been a pleasure, and it's been a lovely, and have a lovely, lovely evening ahead.